So before we welcome back our featured poets, we'll have the open mic. If you would like to participate in the open mic, please say so in the chat. And okay, I've got one. I'll just make a little list here for myself. If I happen to miss you, just volunteer in the chat again. I'll get everybody, or at least everybody I can see. All right, the list is almost writing itself today. This is great. All righty, let's start with Cerebellum, and then Stuart, and then Roshana, and we'll go from there.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I love this. I loved hearing new poets, and then like Eris is just like, oh, I love her. She's stunning. She's amazing. That's enough of my talking, but this poem has triggers for domestic abuse. So do what you have to take care of yourself. I take no offense, okay? This poem is called This Is What Insanity Is. He calls me crazy until I memorize syllables of words and call it home. My body becomes a garage of warm bodies that chill over time, where I breed insanity in my gums, watch my teeth jingle like car keys, where that white of eyes look just so they know what they're getting into. I'm intoxicated on adrenaline. Expect your presence at my new door, demanding money, demanding I not love again because I never felt it in the first place, or so you claimed. I see your fist raised in nightmares and swear I'm not that woman who wears bruises as badges of honor I never earned because they kicked me out of Girl Scouts and any women's group because I was too much of a wild thing to be tamed by their methods. I'm a runaway from introversion, drink and dance on bars, tempt fate to strike me down. I want the electricity to make my static repel everyone who will hurt me and attract everyone who should fill me. I ask them to park inside my empty spaces, their skeletons abandoned while I devour rows of men as shots at the bar that burn, thinking somehow it proves that I never was too scared, too afraid of how consent is never a discussion. Just forced hands down constricting pants and they just smile. Like that is enough of an apology to not realize boundaries. My trauma is enough of a weight on my spine that I either feel like the skeleton who starves herself because mother said I'm only loved if I'm not fat, or the weight of two bodies, my past and present. He calls me crazy. I laugh like a hyena, smile like blazing suns and say, that's what you thought you could do, is tame a wild animal that's just known the back of a hand as her home. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Stuart, follow, and let's have Stuart next, and then Roshana and Autumn.
Okay, thank you. Hey, everybody. Good reading, appreciate it. Good to be here. This is a sonnet. The paper thin and budding wings I knew. The paper thin and budding wings I knew fell mute and still in my descent upon a yet to blossom love. A summer bloom and blossoming were certain as the dawn, and busy feelers foraged over flesh as pink and sweetly scented as a dream. The yellow dust I carried meant to bless a rose would surely bear an evergreen. But in my nature solitary, charged electrostatic, in a feral flight from life and from this beauty's thrips and arch, no bit was passed. The rose was left in light. Though in a house of glass one doesn't gauge, a waiting flower may remain unchanged. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I see a lot of talented poets in this audience, even though I can't see your faces because your cameras are off, but I know you were there. So if you want to read, just let me know and I'll put you on my list. So next up, let's have Roshana, followed by Autumn and John Gorman. There you are.
Hello, hi everybody. My name is Shauna. I have 2 published poetry books. It's a series called Clarity as Poetry, and the first one is Nights in Indonesia. Second one is Land of the Free. My author name is Shauna Starr. First, I wanted to address Sarah. I wanted to tell you that I'm very sorry everything that you had to experience. I also was in that position, and I feel your emotion. A lot of the poetry that I write is showing the way out, because poets are the most damaged, the most hurt people, and the way that they express themselves and get through this hurt is with their poems. That is their gift. But I want to let all of you guys know that there's a way through that. When we don't define ourselves by a poet and we just allow ourselves to flourish and evolve, we can get through that pain. We don't have to sit in it just for things to write. And I just want to see everybody evolve. And I want everybody to know that they're deserving of love and peace. And so the moment I signed up to join this group, I wrote this poem immediately after. So this is brand new. I haven't even read it since I wrote it. It's called The Man. Who is he really? Who has he been told to be? Big, strong, and powerful? There's much more underneath. This would be the biggest lie amongst the human race. The lie of gender roles, consequence of one not playing it, shame and disgrace. The man was taught to carry, to provide, to protect all. The man was taught emotion is weakness. These lies would guarantee man's fall. The man was given responsibility that isn't truly his, for we all are individuals. It is your choice how you live. The man's not obligated to provide for the woman. We're all here to provide for ourselves. In this wholeness, there are no burdens. A man does not have to save anyone. We are all here to save ourselves. In this mold of a male role that's kept the earth imbalanced, a state of hell. The man needs to acknowledge he possesses the same energy as all. We all have equal amounts. Feminine and masculine is our core. The man needs to cry. He needs to feel, needs love, understanding, and acceptance, for he also needs to heal. Who fights for the man's rights? Who supports him on his path? Women have support groups. Others fight for equality. What does a man fight for when he doesn't know who to be? Perception must be changed of this life and the human race. You are one with all. There's no division between country or gender, no division by color of face. To break free from the biggest lie, that division exists between God and man, will release division from this earth, allowing equality to flourish between woman and man. Thank you guys. Love, Shauna.
Thank you. Okay, Autumn, are you ready? And after that, we'll have John Gorman and Jane Lewis.
I think I'm ready. Let me try and get my video going. I'm one of those people who's like fortunate that I don't have to do a lot of Zoom meetings, or at least I don't use Zoom for work. So bear with me if I'm like the old lady who's like, let me move stuff around and all that. So this is new-ish. It's maybe a little bit under a month old. It's kind of written by hand all over the place, so bear with me if I need to move around and find things. It's a poem with a lot of subtitles. The main title is One Way. But then the subtitles are "It Could Happen" or "Transitional Steps Towards the Future." So that's all to let you know that those are titles. One way, "It Could Happen," or "Transitional Steps Toward a Future Procedure." If someone tried to pass you a fake, small-faced Alexander Hamilton and the bullet-proof glass is too low, thick, high, scratched, and warping to hand under, over, or around the fraud, you lent bill and swap possession of the goods, beer, milk, ice, wine, and groceries, half rotten by the time you've bought them. If you can't touch the customer's hand because the bullet-proof glass is shallow, metal mouth is too shallow, glasses shallow metal mouth only admits the crumpled, used, the hard, the flashing but insignificant clatter of small change and not a beer, milk, wine, ice, cigarettes. If what you offering gets scanned through glass so clawed you can't see your customer's eyes, to tell him, "Sorry, sir, you got another?" One, call your manager, not the police. Two, if you, the manager, consider demolition, or at least your own need for change, big change. You too may be losing slowly all your air in a clear glass coffin. That's it.
Love that. Great seeing you again. Love your shirt too. I kind of want one of those. I think I need one.
It's a witch shirt, so yeah, ask Carrie to ask somebody to ask somebody.
Nice. All right. Next up, let's have Dr. John Gorman, followed by Jane Lewis and John Simons. Anyone want to break up the row of J's? No? Okay. Dr. Gorman?
I'm willing to serve. Can you hear me? Okay, but my little box of my image seems to have disappeared. That's okay though, because poetry is sonic.
John, we can see you. No problem.
Okay. Last time I did a hunk of a long poem I have about rodeo, and I'm going to do another hunk of it today that it picks up with keeping track of the trail riders as they come in toward the center of Houston. The past too is stubborn, staying itself more surely the more we recreate it. They ride down the bayou, past the rice elevators, bedecked and bebalconied condos, streets of restored 20s houses, here and there, a satellite dish pulling in sports from New Zealand. For a few days, the clay bank lies trampled to hardpan, but the earth laughs. It doesn't even laugh. We could startle its air with fire, sicken the life from everything crawling. Something would come back, not us. The earth would remain, and the past would be quiet. The dressed up people are careful to cover their Reeboks under their calico, to stash their Cokes and convenience store burritos, to angle their hats. Such verve, such festoonings of prudence, the comedy of the ride, its long futility even, fade to a truth. The riders are right. We can't be careful enough. All that is rooted in disappearing. Whatever struggles forward finds the going hard. 350 years ago, in a chamber filled with the water-rattled light of Holland, a painter stands bewildered. His composition won't come right. It won't. Then it does. There, that one. Save it from time. Later, in some damp country house or hot museum, the varnish over his brushwork cracks, admitting billions of feasting creatures the eyes can't see. Light itself, the fuel of our love for looking, blunts what it touches. Still, to have been here at all, to know a little of what vanishes, we might as well call it a trust. Thank you.
Thank you. I love that. So Jane Lewis, when you're ready, go ahead. After that, we'll have John Simons.
Just a second, I'm trying to start the video. Can you see me?
Not yet, but we hear you.
Well, it's not cooperating. Can I just read it since I can't get the video to go?
Of course.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not very good at computers. So this poem is actually one I wrote a few years back when my mother was in a nursing home. I was back there for weeks while she was in the process of dying. But I pulled it out because with COVID and people being in nursing homes, assisted living where their loved ones can't be there, it just illustrates the importance of the people that are with your loved ones. This is called Nancy. Mother didn't want her picture taken anymore. She'd wave her hand and dismiss us one by one. The act of dying left her weighing under 80 pounds. Her shrunken face had become a mass of chiseled contours, and still it reflected the beauty of a life well lived. Catching me off guard one day, she called me to her side and announced, "I want a picture with Nancy." Nancy, the almost 70-year-old aide who worked the evening shift, would appear at my mother's door with a quick knock. "Can I come in, June?" Knowing sleep was an infrequent visitor. Kneeling down by my mother's side, eye to eye, she'd say in a conspiratory voice, "Want me to sneak down to the kitchen and get you some ice cream?" A smile would appear on my mother's tired face, along with a yes or simple nod. Then a choice would be given, always resulting in chocolate. Minutes later, Nancy would return with the illicit treat in tow, a sweet indulgence and respite from the tasteless food brought morning, noon, and night on plain brown trays. Attempts to get down a few spoonfuls were paired with discussions of daily events, gleaned from CNN, my mother's begrudgingly choice of TV, beloved books no longer an option for eyes that used to read a book a day. That simple act of kindness, their little secret of the forbidden late night raid, was an event to look forward to. One night, after tucking my mother into bed, while walking past the room next door, a light partially illuminated the figure of Nancy kneeling by another patient's side. "Want me to sneak down to the kitchen and get you some ice cream?" I had become a silent witness to the gift of compassion, being passed on again, hurriedly walking down the hall, awash with emotions, the tears began to flow freely. A simple two-word prayer of gratitude for Nancy formed on my lips. Bless you, bless you.
Bravo. Thank you. All right. Looks like our next reader is John Simons. And anyone else, speak up in the chat if you want to.
What'd you say, honey? Thank you.
Hi, hi there. This is a different take on all of the confined time that we have had to spend bringing out the inner introvert in some of us during the pandemic. So this is called Time Alone. Welcome to the hermit culture, reclusive in its crab-like charm, secretly appealing to an aging moonchild, once relieved by limited options of rainy Saturdays, canceling yard work duties, allowing radio morning escapes to adventures of others. Life alone has gone viral, and virtual coping seems to return self-absorbed youth to its age-old version of electric travel, linking Let's Pretend to Grand Central Station, crossroads of a million lives, then to faces zoomed alive elsewhere now on our checker-squared gallery screens. We can now interact in compartments with options to shift to the face you want and silence your mic to make clear you listen mostly in therapeutic cutoff, absolving the non-committal from guilt of withdrawal, a press box of sorts for the socio-neutral, observing the radio silence of remembered youth. Flash back to the quieted Swiss, resting their multilingual echoes in lakefront serenity that may seem like surrender, but could be a white cross strength that calmly awaits understanding. Isolation frees up tasks dictated more often by habit than need. Spare time should return to memory's general fund for reuse and reclaiming preferred past days to share with strangers in a break from meeting fatigue. Giving many a rest from each other is the guise of health and safety, a respite from drives to save humanity, a pit stop on caring's long road to curing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's have a round of virtual applause for all of our open mic readers.